Hi, I'm Ben Ferguson, and welcome to your AMAC Weekly News. First up, liberals are not only pushing for $15 minimum wage, but now they want $20 an hour. I'll have more on their movement to get this done in a moment. And not only do the 2020 Democratic candidates want to win back the White House, now they've got a plan to do it with your hard-earned money. I'll break down this scam for you in just a minute. And finally, liberals are now declaring that white people are no longer welcome to lead in the Democratic Party. And we have the video to prove it. Quick reminder, if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, do it now so you can continue to receive this new show and access to our amazing member benefits. You also get the AMAC magazine. And most importantly, AMAC represents you and almost 2 million other conservatives on Capitol Hill every day. So make sure you join or renew today. Your AMAC Weekly News starts right now. So it's been a really weird, strange, odd, awkward week when it comes to the issue of minimum wage. In fact, it turns out that even socialists can't make socialism work. Perfect example, Bernie Sanders is being called out and attacked by his own campaign staffers for not even paying them $15 an hour, the same amount of money that he demands the rest of us pay every other employee. Now, of course, Sanders had a defense. He proceeded to argue that, quote, his Capitol Hill staff makes $15 an hour. Just one problem with that claim. We, the taxpayers, are the ones on the hook to pay his congressional staff $15 an hour, not Bernie Sanders. Now, he doesn't even have to pay a single dime to these congressional workers. So for him to grandstand on it is pretty absurd. But when it comes to Bernie Sanders and paying his actual campaign staff, well, those staffers have literally thrown their candidate, their leader, under the bus. Sanders went on to say about this scandal, quote, "It bothers me that the people are going outside of the process and going to the media. That is really not acceptable. It is really not what labor negotiations are about, and it's improper." Now, he's talking about his own campaign staff. Now, regardless of this mistake, he's got a solution. He will pay these campaign staffers $15 an hour moving forward. Just one little asterisk. He's going to limit their hours. Now, this, of course, completely undermines his position that there should be a $15 an hour minimum wage. Also, liberals didn't stop at last week's passage in the House of Representatives with a $15 federal minimum wage bill that now is even closer to becoming law. They now demand, wait for it, $20 an hour. This slippery slope is why I don't trust liberals. Now, let me break this down for you so you understand what they're advocating for. If someone makes $20 an hour for 40 hours a week for 52 weeks a year, that person starting out would make a staggering $41,600 a year in their very first job, all because of a government mandate from liberals that we clearly can't afford. Now, the Conservative Political Action Committee, America Rising, caught even Representative Rashid Tlaib on camera demanding $20 an hour just 3 days after they passed $15 an hour. Take a look.
Big fights like this one, $15. By the way, when we started it, it should have been $15. Now I think it should be $20. Picture America Rising here. It should be $20. No, it should be $20 an hour. $18 to $20 an hour at this point with everything, all the costs. And so when they say, oh, this is going to raise the cost, but I can tell you, milk has gone up, eggs has gone up, everything has gone up, the cost of food has gone up, the cost of a lot of things that we need has gone up already.
Now, the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, also known as the CBO, recently concluded that a $15 federal minimum wage would result in 3.7 million people becoming unemployed. Now, even the House Democrats' own estimates agreed that a higher minimum wage would cost millions of jobs. Well, the president of the Job Creators Network, Alfredo Ortiz, told the Washington Free Beacon that, quote, America can't afford a $15 minimum wage, never mind $20. Now, the bottom line is liberals are clearly determined to bankrupt our country, even if it means having Americans lose jobs because of this idea, which is a socialist idea. And we cannot continue to allow this to happen or this legislation move outside of the House. Now, we at AMAC are taking them on, and we'll make sure that your voice is heard in Washington on this extremely important issue. You work hard for the money you earn, yet that money won't stay in your pocket if liberals take the White House. In fact, they now have a plan of what to do with that money that you worked so hard for. You saved and invested in order to take care of yourself and your family. Now, rather than encouraging the American dream, liberals want more than anything else to take the money from you and give it freely to those who didn't actually earn it. Representative Rashid Tlaib laid out the Democrats' plan at the NAACP convention. Take a look.
So recently I introduced the Boost Act. This legislation completely repeals the GOP tax scam that is only helping wealthy individuals, the rich, the corporations. And do you know what I did with that money? Do you know what I said? We're going to go ahead and put it into the pockets of folks like everyday Americans. If you make less than $100,000, you're going to get up to $6,000 in your pocket. And if you make less than $50,000, you're going to get $3,000. That's what we do with our public dollars. We give it back to the people that earned it.
Now, to be clear, this is a plan that has actually been in the works for quite some time. Just take a listen to AOC from earlier this year in an interview with 60 Minutes.
You look at our tax rates back in the 60s, and when you have a progressive tax rate system, your tax rate, let's say from $0 to $75,000 may be 10% or 15%, et cetera. But once you get to like the tippy tops, on your $10 millionth dollar, sometimes you see tax rates as high as 60 or 70%. That doesn't mean all $10 million are taxed at an extremely high rate, but it means that as you climb up this ladder, you should be contributing more.
That's right. AOC just said that she wants to tax you at up to 70% of every dollar you earn, leaving you with just 30 cents on the dollar. Now, liberals are determined to take away the money that you rightly earn and give it to those who obviously didn't earn it. Now, not everyone who has money or is now considered the evil rich person that Democrats always accuse them of was actually born rich. Most people work extremely hard for decades to accumulate what they have. Now, doing this is what I refer to as literally the American dream. Yet liberals are ripping that dream apart, and now they're not even hiding it. Now, what makes this scheme even worse is it's very clear that liberals are now trying to just buy votes. They're telling people that if they elect them to office and they take back the White House, then you are going to get a big payday from the American government with money they stole from the American worker. These liberals are exploiting their supporters, and they're destroying the working class all at the same time with this plan. Now, it's our job to put an end to this plan and keep the American dream alive and well. Now, AMAC is focused on making sure you keep what you earn rather than letting the government decide what part of the American dream you can and cannot have. In a shockingly racist idea, liberals are now suggesting that white people are no longer welcome to lead in the Democratic Party. Now, this is happening within the Democratic Party at the exact same time that liberals are constantly calling Donald Trump a racist. Why? To gain supporters and to clearly divide the country. Now, liberals saying whites don't belong in leadership isn't a new idea either. Simone Sanders is a former spokeswoman for the 2016 Bernie Sanders presidential campaign and current senior advisor for the 2020 Joe Biden campaign. She appeared on CNN where she made this position clear. Take a listen.
You know, Howard Dean was there for that 50-state strategy, but here's the issue. Howard Dean is also on record maligning young people and millennials, telling those Bernie folks they just need to get in line, and maligning Bernie Sanders. And that is not what we need, in my opinion. We don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. The Democratic Party is diverse, and it should be reflected as so in our leadership and throughout the staff at the highest levels, from the vice chairs to the secretaries, all the way down to the people working in the offices at the DNC.
Now, the campaign strategy seems very clear. If you're a Democrat, you should be running around claiming that not only the president's a racist, but anyone that supports anything that he does is also a racist as well. They've even gone so far in the past week to say that Donald Trump is actually leading a white supremacy movement. Representative AOC made this view very clear. Take a look at this raw video from Twitter.
He is stoking white supremacy, and he is allowing, frankly, neo-Nazi groups to go off unchecked because that is a key part of rousing his base. But we cannot allow and give into that.
Just when you think you've seen enough, MSNBC's Chris Hayes made a point to call out not only the president, but also the president's supporters, saying that they must be, quote, confronted and, get ready for it, destroyed. Watch this.
But the base, what does the base get? The folks in that arena. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? They get to chant, they get to revel in their own Americanness and primacy at the expense of others. They may not get much more than that, but Trump and now the entire Republican Party and most of the conservative movement realize that that is enough for them. They realize that no one actually cared about deficits or small government. That was never the fuel that fired the engine of Republican politics. It was always roiling rage against them that was on full display in the Send Her Back chants last night. It must be peacefully, non-violently, politically destroyed. With love, compassion, and determination, but utterly confronted and destroyed. That is the only way to break the coalition apart.
In fact, many liberal 2020 hopefuls for the White House have gone on an apology tour for their whiteness. That means being white. Just take a look at what Beto O'Rourke had to say about his terrible whiteness, being born white, which he had nothing to do with.
The way in which I acknowledge the truth of the criticism that I have enjoyed white privilege. Absolutely. Undeniable. As I've shared with others, and certainly became a topic of conversation in the Senate campaign, I have been arrested twice in my life. One for attempted criminal trespass and another more graver offense of driving while intoxicated. Those mistakes didn't end up defining me or narrowing my options in life. And it's not because I'm a great person or I'm a genius or I figured anything out. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm a white man.
The bottom line is America's a great melting pot, and it's a great country, and we should get past judging people solely by the color of their skin. Unfortunately, it seems that the liberals are now determined to divide this country based on the color of people's skins going into the 2020 elections. That's it for this edition of your AMAC Weekly News. Please be sure to share this program with your friends on Facebook. And a quick reminder, if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, do it now so you can continue to receive this new show and access to our amazing member benefits. You also get the incredible AMAC magazine. And most importantly, AMAC represents you and almost 2 million other conservatives on Capitol Hill every day. So make sure you join or renew today. I'm Ben Ferguson, and I'll see you back next week for our next episode.